Welcome to the funnel. My name is John Shan. I'm president of Alignment Group. This is episode 231 of the funnel, Sales Manager's First 100 Days. Before we get started, I want to remind you to head on over to alignment-group.com/the funnel. Subscribe, and we'll send you a weekly update. You can also download the best of the funnel and insights. The first of the series covers our 6-step hiring process. So it is everything that we've published on the hiring process in the form of a blog or a podcast in that ebook. So it's easy for you to have access to all that information without having to go to our podcast page and search, or our blog page. So check it out. Okay, the agenda today is, what would you do? 1 through 30 days, 31 through 60 days, and 61 through 90 days. Before we jump into what would you do, I want to talk a little bit about the genesis of this. I'm viewing this slightly differently than your onboarding process here for a sales manager. So if you're a new sales manager and being onboarded to a company, this is just a little bit different. This is your approach to that first 100 days, your strategy for getting your feet wet with your team. You're going to have to follow the onboarding process. And my suggestion for any company would be to build the 90-day onboarding process. And there'll be some of a blend here. But this is really how you jumpstart your team or get moving forward in that first 100 days. And I'm sorry, and I got to say, I'm sorry if I sound a little nasally and I'm coughing. I spent the day outside in a field with the wind blowing, and the pollen where I am is just off the charts. So I can barely breathe tonight while I'm recording this podcast. So let's jump into what would you do. So you get a new job. You're a manager. You've probably been in that space before, right? If you're not a business owner, you've done something like this. Or if you're a manager, you've been hired, either promoted or hired within a new company, and you have that new job feel kind of staring at you, and you're trying to figure out what to do next. How would I handle this first 100 days? Maybe this is your first management role, or you're thinking about it for your first management job. What would you do? Would you just jump right in after trying to get results, look at the numbers, crunch the numbers, and then start directing traffic? Would you try to establish authority, right? So, a lot of coaches establish authority by picking some poor sap and chewing them out or kicking them off the team. Never a superstar, but somebody to get everybody's attention. Is that how you want to run your sales team? Do you want to go for respect? And how do you do that? It's a daunting task. Generally, when you're taking over the team, it's in many cases, you're trying to fix something that's broken. In other cases, you might be taking over for a very good manager, and that's great, but now you have huge shoes to fill. You might be a different personality, you might have a different style, and you're stepping into this role. It's daunting. So put the onboarding aside, because there is a process for onboarding. That first 90 days, getting a manager up and running, especially a new manager. But in this case, I'm talking about when you get in there, what are you going to do? And my response would be to create a plan. You have the 90-day onboarding process that you're following, that the company has created, and it's part of your training. But off of that, you should be building your own plan. Your own plan for meeting the mark within 100 days. You do that in parallel to the onboarding program, and the company has a good onboarding program, the likelihood of success is very high. If you don't have an onboarding program, you don't have a plan, you're just jumping in feet first, you're in trouble. Because there's hazards everywhere. So let's talk about the first 30 days. The first 30 days are really where you establish your foundation. It has long-standing consequences. So think about back in school. You started a new school. The first day in that new school, established where you landed in the hierarchy of the kids in school. Like it or not, that's how it works. And we've tried to put measures in to hope to make sure that that doesn't happen. We talk to our own kids and we talk about bullying and doing the right things. But their hierarchy in that school is established the first 30 days. Same with a teacher. New teacher comes in. It's really hard to undo that. Well, to some degree, it's happening here. So as a manager, you don't want to go in guns blazing. First thing you need to know is, who do I have on my team? Who are the people? Who are they and where do they fit? Do I know, outside of the numbers, if it's a new company, do I know who these people are? Do I know their skill set? Do I know where they fit into the culture? Do I have a real good handle on their abilities? And I wouldn't take the first meeting with put a whole lot of stock into that. People are just getting to know one another. You ever go out, go to a party, you meet a new couple, you meet somebody and you become a friend. You're like, well, I could really hang out with that person. And then after like 3 or 4 times, you're like, I don't think so. It's not a fit. We're not friends. It's just not going to work here. It's the same with a manager and new people. So you take that first 30 days and you get to know your team. Skill set, DNA, right? What kind of sales skills do they have? Where's their DNA fit? We talk a lot about DNA in the candidate assessment, and I've written a lot about it. We use the objective management group candidate assessment. We use the sales team assessment. This is a great time to assess your team. I want to know what I have, and I want an objective opinion. I don't want to listen to every manager that's in my peer group, their opinion. The former manager maybe left me some information or had a meeting with me. Maybe they've moved up the ranks. Your boss. Everybody has their opinion. But I want something that's objective. I don't want to be clouded by my own emotions or somebody else's. That's a great opportunity to assess your team. So you can figure out where they fit in the big picture. Maybe you're changing. You're brought in as a change agent. You're changing products and services. You're doing something differently. And some of the people that are on your team now that are succeeding may not succeed in that environment. What a great opportunity to evaluate the team. You want to know what kind of culture you're walking into for the company as well as the sales team. And it's really hard to get a feel for the culture in 2 or 3 days because everybody's nice for the most part. Then the shine wears off, right? The honeymoon's over and things start falling into place. That's what the first 30 days are for. To get a real good feel for your team and the culture, where everybody fits, their skill sets and their abilities. So as you move forward and you need to make decisions, you can make good, sound, quality decisions, not snap judgments based on a week of talking to people or a first meeting. 31 through 60 days. We're going to take a deeper dive. Right now we're getting a feel for the people. Maybe you've assessed them. You understand where they stand, who they are, how they're performing because you've reviewed the numbers. You've been inside the CRM a little bit. You got a really good handle on how that goes and how the meetings used to be run by the former manager and what you want to do with your meetings. You're kind of walking into that a little bit. Now you're peeling back the layers of the sales process. Does the sales process fit the buying process of your customers or clients? Does it fit the buying process? Maybe if, again, you're a change agent and you're moving into different products and services. Does that process fit? I want to make sure that I have the right buying, that I have the right sales process in place. The sales process is it isn't about you or your company. It's about your customers, how they buy, how your buyers buy. And you need to make sure that that lines up, that you have alignment there. So I'm going to peel back the layers of the process. One, do I have a milestone-centric process? Do they have to meet certain gates before they can move to the next step? And are they following and managing that process? Or is it just in name alone? It's written and no one really follows it. And if you hit your number, you're left alone. Well, that's a whole new conversation. We all know performance spikes when you follow a milestone-centric sales process. It's done right. Do I have marketing and sales alignment? I want to know that. Are we talking to the marketing folks? Are they talking to us? Are we on the same page? Or is that same old dance? It's marketing, it's sales going back and forth. Sales reps say the leads are bad. Marketing says the leads are good, they can't sell, and it's the dance. You got to knock down those barriers and bring the two together. I want to make sure there's alignment there. What about my sales operations? Do I have something that actually works? I've come out of situations where paperwork is a nightmare. How do I resolve those operational issues? Well, it depends. But I want to know, do I have the right people helping us from an operational perspective? Are they in the right roles? Are they supporting the team in the field? Sometimes, it's a little backwards. You have the internal people just refusing to do things for the salespeople, playing mind games with them, holding back their paperwork. I've seen it 1,000 times. The wrong people are running the show if that's happening. It doesn't mean your salespeople have the opportunity to overrun them. They should show some respect, do things the right way. But we're not going to have a lopsided system here. We're going to look at sales operations and make sure it's in place. What kind of training do I have? Do I have my salespeople being trained? Is it working? Is it the kind of training that I would put in place? When was the last time it was done? When's the next scheduled training event? Do we train them all at once? Is it in small groups? Does it depend on how they're performing? Wouldn't that be great? You're sending people to training who are underperforming, and the people who are performing don't have to go to training. Seems counterproductive to me. And you're using training as a punishment. That never works. Where can I improve all of these areas? Where can I improve the training, sales operations, marketing and sales alignment? How can I tweak the sales process to work better? And you're not going to get all of this done between 31 and 60 days, but this is what you're putting an eye on, and you're putting pen to paper, and you're figuring out how to do it and how to fix it. Maybe your sales operations are a mess. You need to replace half the people. You're going to do that in 30 days. It's going to take some time. When at least you're beginning to formulate what needs to be done and you're moving forward with it. And as you begin to put those things in place, those improvements in place, and develop the programs, people are going to see what's happening here. And they're going to move towards you, not away from you. I would always go after the low-hanging fruit. That's my big thing. Go after the low-hanging fruit. It's easy. Stuff that you can fix right away. Little wins. Build credibility. And then you can go after the bigger wins. So that's what I would do the 31 through 60 days. Now let's talk about 61 to 90 days. You're in the home run. Now, of course, I said the first 100 days. Why? Because we talk a lot about that here in the U.S. with the President of the United States, right? President gets inaugurated on January 20th. And we look at the first 100 days. That's where they lay the foundation for the future, for the remainder of their presidency. That's when they begin to implement all of the things they talked about on the campaign trail. And we judge them on that. Now, of course, there's always the political spectrum of one side versus the other. And there are people that live in those buckets. And there's the rest of the world that looks at it with an objective, as much as they can, an objective, and says, okay, this is what they've done well, this is where they failed us, but I'm going to go with it or I'm not going to go with it based on that first 100 days. So that's where I got the 100 days from. So you can adjust this 61 to 90 to be 1 through 33 and a third, 34 and a third, 30, and so on. You can do that, but I'm not going to. But you understand the point. 61 through 90, you're rolling up your sleeves. You're beginning to look at the revenue targets, the growth opportunities, not only from the individuals, but products and services that maybe you haven't done so well with, but you can, or stuff that the company's asking you, products or services the company's asking you to push. That's why you're there, to implement some new programs. You're looking for the growth opportunities, and you begin to implement and build your plan for those growth opportunities. Okay? I had to hit the mute button here on my PC because it was like making noise. I don't know if you could hear that in the background. I hope not. So you're building the outline or the structure of the plan for hitting those targets. The growth opportunity. You're looking for synergy among your team members. Is everybody working together? Have we put the common goals in place? This is where the rubber meets the road. This first 90 days is critical to your overall success. Now, think about onboarding. Onboarding is about learning the products and the services and the ins and outs of the company. This plan runs parallel to that. You're trying to get to understand the people, what they do and how they do it. Now, onboarding, you're learning about sales process and alignment and those things. So it has something in common with this first 100 days. But you own this as the manager. And as the business owner, you should expect this from your new managers. Generally, when you start a new role, you have about a year to really make an impact. But they're watching your development. You hit the ground running. You put foundational elements in place, you'll be fine. If you don't, you're going to fail. This option that I put together for the first 100 days is really to chunk it down. One of the things I've learned in school back in the day, one of the things I've learned with my own kids in school, is you don't take a big project and try to do it all at once. You chunk it down into manageable bites. You do a little bit at a time, and then all of a sudden you're done. It's the same with this. You can't come in with guns ablazing and start firing people or putting people in positions that you think they should be in without even knowing who they are, what they're about. You have no understanding of the culture. You're building on something, and that's the objective here of this first 100-day plan, because you're trying to grow the company. You're trying to put sustainable growth in place. You're trying to increase revenue, increase profit, and get the most out of the people you have. Add people to the team in some cases, replace others, and create a well-oiled machine. You're putting a team in place to move forward, whether you're filling some big shoes or fixing something that's broken. I think in some cases, fixing something that's broken is easier than filling the shoes. I've been there. I've done it. It's hard. I've also been in a position where I've had a team performing at, I don't know, it was like 40% of the year in October when I took over this team years and years ago. And the following year, we were 125 of goal, revenue and profit goals. It took a lot of work. So I took that first 90 days and I peeled back the layers. I understood who I had in place, what they were about, their skill set, their DNA. I looked at the processes, the support mechanisms, the culture, all of that stuff. Then I began to formulate a plan and started making changes, some to personnel. And by the time we were done, we were outperforming most of the other teams in the company. Pretty good sized company, regional company. Yeah, regional. I'd say a little bit bigger. Number of teams were like 12. And we outpaced all of them in terms of our total numbers and total profit. And that was really in part to a 100-day plan that I put in place. Took a lot of work, but I got there. That's what this is about. Subscribe to The Funnel. You just head on over to alignment-group.com/The Funnel. Don't forget to get the Best Of series. I have to remind you of that. Of course, you can find us on social media, facebook.com/alignment group. I'm on Twitter @ShayJohnR. LinkedIn. You can find me there. Email me, jshay@alignment-group.com. And of course, the website, Alignment Group. As always, thank you for subscribing and keep filling the funnel.